How many of you have ever done design thinking? We are going to do a mini challenge today, and what you learn here today, we want you to apply when we start talking about the community and all of the projects that you're going to be coming up with. Has everybody got that? Okay, good. The first thing we're going to talk about is empathy. If you have empathy for somebody, so you have felt what they're feeling, and it's not necessarily that you feel sorry for somebody, but you understand what they're going through. So we are going to use empathy today and the rest of these 2 weeks in the design thinking process. Empathy is where we begin. To define our issue, it means that you are working towards a purpose. It means I want my argument to accomplish blank for my audience because it needs, values, wants, whatever that might be. Your audience, you have to understand your audience, and that is one of the most important parts, because when you go into this design challenge, you're not designing for you. You're designing for your audience today. And then eventually, over these next 2 weeks, whatever project you decide on, you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for the benefit of somebody else. It is important to know as much as you can about the people you're designing for. Ideate. Ideate means that this is the trial and error part of our process. They zoom out and they flare to create a lot of ideas, and then they use the feedback that they're given to focus on the best one that you want to develop. After you get feedback from your person, after you've designed everything, you go and you show it to them and you say, look, and I'm going to say, ooh, I really like this part, but I don't like that part. That part's not going to work for me. So now you got to go and figure out how to fix that. So you will revise and you will edit your work in response to the feedback that you get from your audience of peers. The prototyping is the fun part. After you've come up with your 5 brainstormed ideas that could become a product, it is important to think outside the box. When we do this, anything is possible. You can create anything. So we're gonna give this a try. The next couple of days is going to be us doing, all of you guys doing this and deciding and choosing who you want to focus on and what you're going to do with it, and hopefully it'll be fun. It was fantastic. You guys did great.
Sit in a comfortable position. Allow both soles of your feet to connect to the floor. Rest your hands on your thighs and let your shoulders drop. Gently close your eyes or look for a reference point somewhere on the floor where you can return your eyes when you get distracted. Let your spine grow tall and noble like the trunk of a tall tree. Take a moment to notice how your body feels as you bring your attention to the flow of your breath. You don't need to breathe in a special way. Your body knows how to breathe. Simply notice each breath coming into the body with an in-breath and leaving the body with an out-breath. If you notice your mind is caught up in thoughts, concerns, emotions, or body sensations, know that this is normal. Notice what is distracting you and gently let it go without judgment by redirecting your attention back to the breath. Keep escorting your attention back to the experience of breathing. When you are ready, slowly bring your attention back to your surroundings and let how you feel guide you now.
Mari Pot,
Rafi Aigbeta,
Akile,
Varsha, Krishna Mavani, Lana, and today we're learning about the world.
Today we've been going through issues like environment change, racial inequality,
learning about problems in the world and also finding solutions,
and poverty.
Poverty,
healthcare inequity,
and social justice.
And we've been going through those and seeing how it might affect others around us, how it can affect us personally, and how it can affect the world, and what we can do to change that situation.
we are trying to do something with our passions to create a more just society. We're trying to create something based on what we like to do that will help make the society better. I feel like I'm probably going to do something on the environment and climate change. Right now, my project idea is about cooking and do like cupcakes, cakes, baking and stuff. And then we want to raise money for a cancer community.
When I grow up, I want to be a lawyer, and I want to go to criminal justice, and I want to make a change in the world, and I see a problem in the world and I want to fix it, and that's why I'm here. This is a good stepping stone.
Looking at Troy and some of the problems we were seeing, and one of the problems we saw was that some areas of Troy where there's like more poverty-prone areas, more people were not getting the opportunities they should have, and we wanted to combine aviation and robotics into that. We came up with the idea to bring some like kits that they could build out of wood, and that would give maybe spark some ideas for those people who didn't have those opportunities to build with their hands or necessarily not get the engineering opportunities that they could have when they were always looking for their next meal instead of looking for their future. And we really wanted to help streamline that. So we were looking, how can we get this out into the community? And we looked at, what are some great community places where it's free and easy to access? And we thought about the library. So we came up with the idea, why don't we put free kits with instructions and have people go into the library, pick one up, go home, and build it there. And at the end, they'd have a cool model, and they've also learned something.
They have recalled all blue-colored Legos. So if your design has any blue Legos in it, you must remove them and choose something different.
Why is that?
So going forward, the blue ones have a negative impact on our environment, and so they're no longer to be able to be used in robotic builds.
Well, we're building a robot that will go around and clean trash.
So we are basically doing a robot that is supposed to clean sewers, a Lego version of it, of course, but it's still a thing.
So my idea was to build two separate robots, and both of them have different purposes. The smaller one is to assist for first aid, and the medium one is to assist in helping the other one in rescue missions and also to help any other assisting needs.
Let's go around and let's talk a little bit about where your initial ideas are. We're kind of in this prototype stage, right? We did some ideating. We have these questions up on the board. You kind of thought through them. Now it's time for us to share out our initial designs and let us know if it has changed at all, so we can better get an idea of what issue your robot will be addressing and kind of the reason behind why you made it.
This medical robot duo, it will be working in the medical field as an operator, a first aid kit, pretty much anything that medical professionals could do, this robot can also do.
In poverty places, they don't have much medical care, which is why
this would be here. It would be able to go in schools, it could stay here, and it's also transportable and can go to hospitals if needed.
So it sounds like it's a kind of like an all-purpose robot to assist in different places around the world.
We wanted to focus on more of a problem that's local to us, and we all know about the flood water crisis, right? So we wanted to focus on that so it can help clean out the filtration systems, or if needed, it can also clean out sewers.
So it seems like you guys did a lot of ideating there. Like you had an idea, you tested it out, maybe you got feedback from one another, and then you tried something different. So as we think about this, right, we had some rapid prototyping, ideating, and testing out. What are some skills that you guys have been developing together in your group?
Building under pressure.
Building under pressure?
So we were all like working on separate things, but then we'd all come together and talk to each other and communicate.
So we took up people's like ideas and we tried our best to implement it.
There you go. I hear communication, and I also hear this idea of collaboration, right?
We would like do trial and error constantly for changing up the design.
We're not always going to get it right the first time, and we have to be willing to try new things and see if we can improve it and make it better. Sometimes when you have those design constraints, it can get you to be even more creative. The purpose of this week is the whole idea of helping to build a more just community. How can we take these skills that we've built and apply it to a project that we're going to be working on?
I think communication will be very important. Communicating, hey, there's this great opportunity for you, you should come try it out.
You can show about how your idea is going to be made and how it's going to work as a prototype.
It's okay to leave next week and not have a finished idea, but you have your prototype there and you know that it's something that you can continue to build on and to grow.
Not just seeing other people do it ourselves and really have that experience, and show other people what a great experience it was and how we learned from our roadblocks and how we overcame them.
The coding group, and we are a group that's making a pinging trash can so that you can find the nearest trash can. My friend and I were really interested in making some sort of radar, so we thought if we could incorporate the radar into helping us find something that we need to use more often, then that could be very helpful. We came up with the idea by my friend bringing in an ultrasonic sensor and me saying, oh, we can make a radar out of it. But our idea wouldn't incorporate the main thought of the group, which would be how can we make the world a better place. We thought, well, we saw a video on how someone made a trash can get more trash by just making it more fun. So we thought, why don't we make it more technology involved and make it more like a game, like you have to find the trash can using the radar.
My job is, I'm mainly program for our idea, and I'm adding the components to the mainframe. I think all that our group focuses on is coding, building the mechanical, building a website, which are all distributed very evenly amongst the group members.
I'm in charge of programming and helping out building the website, which is kind of going to be our format for displaying all of this so it can be accessed. I'm also going to be helping out with the actual engineering part, and I'm going to be helping out with the coding.
I am making the case for the Arduino, which is the brains of the operation, this piece here, and the servo right here, so that when we test out in the field, we can keep it safe. I'll also be making a case for the receiver of the signal once we get it. Our goal is to make it so that people use trash cans more, because they're able to find them easier in their area. We hope we can put the signal senders around the trash cans in the building and improve that a radar can pick them up and that we can make it more fun to use a trash can.
Everybody. All right. This side did a really good job. Let's try over here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right. I have the pleasure of giving you this morning's announcements. So, this is the first day that we will be providing everybody here at the Oakland Youth Innovation Lab with the opportunity to learn from experts in our community, experts who are doing similar work to the projects that you all have chosen to undertake.
What can you do to help? So, if you and your family are unable to foster, which would obviously be the best case scenario to help out, then you can do a lot of things.
And I said, hey, I really wonder if I can give some of that back to other people. I want to, play a role in continuing on providing music for humanity, for those around me, for friends, for family, and then, you know, kind of helping to instruct a new generation coming up to kind of take up the craft and keep it alive.
Before you start thinking about like how do you want to share your message, you gotta really make sure that you have a message that people can get behind, something that's personal and powerful to you, right? What's your experience with your story? And then document that, right? Like really write a narrative around that first. Now that I have people's attention, what do I want us to do? What is like the next step?
Hi, my name is Sarah Luan, and I'm the founder of Project Sunset. I started Project Sunset in 2011 to help protect families from malaria in sub-Saharan Africa. E4 Project adopted Project Sunset to make it part of an official nonprofit. And then from there, we started initially here in Gabon, and then later we expanded into the Democratic Republic of Congo.
So the purpose of this week is kids are working on passion projects, thinking about how they can change the world and change our community, and so lots of students are interested in using video as the media to portray their message, maybe making a PSA or making short documentaries or things like that.
Yeah, my name is Aaron. I am a motion picture film editor for Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Fox. Disney pretty much owns everything, right?
How do I entertain audiences and what may have like different interests? Like, how do I know like how to entertain?
It's a good question. Oftentimes you don't. You should make something that you're passionate about, that's important to you. Try not to be too concerned about what other people are going to think about it. We're wired to be storytellers. Our brains process information like in this narrative form. Stories are what connects us. The best you can do is to try and do a project that is important to you. Worry less about what other people are going to think about it.
The experts taught me, like, they look at things so much different than I would because the creative fields are so different. Like, all these different people, they invest in music and like nonprofits, and the way they think is just completely different than I would. So it's like looking in their perspective of how they think really changed on how I look at the things they do. And it's like realize like how hard they work to accomplish what they accomplish.
Having experts come in helps us learn from people who are doing this work in their real life, and it's not just reading about it or researching about it. We can actually hear from them and then ask questions to help understand and deepen our thinking.
So for me, I think I've been to almost every master class. I think the ones that helped my project the most were the one with Mrs. Endler. She's the Morse principal who runs the Morse Pantry. Once again, my topic is food insecurity, so she helped me out with that. She gave me a lot of information and advice on how to be successful in this area, and also just some problems that I'm going to run into. For example, the first food drive that I run is not going to be that successful. But then over the years, even after a few months, more people will learn about it. If you advertise a little more, you learn from your mistakes.
We were given a task to make a game using a couple of materials, and we made this game. It's called Nunes, and basically what the point is you're trying to hit the ball either out of bounds, hit the box, hit the ball inside the box, or there's also a cup in the box, and if you hit it inside the cup, you get 10 points, which is the max amount of points. There are 6 players in the whole game, 2 offense and 1 defense. What defense is supposed to do is trying to stop it from going into the box or going out of bounds so that they can score a point. And what offense does is they're trying to make it go in the box. And that's the same for each side. So the game ends when we have one side has 21 points. We require tape, string, boxes, cups, 6 rackets, and a net for the whole game. Some feedback I give to the founder, his name is Shri, is that I realized that the court was too small because almost every single time the reason you get a point is if it went out of bounds. He said that he'd elaborate on that and make the court larger. Also, the rackets themselves are pretty small and can't really hit the ball frequently, so we might use like tennis rackets or badminton rackets instead. So the feedback creates a better game and it becomes more elaborate and professional.
because we're going to sell cakes to donate money to an organization that cleans the ocean.
They take a lot of garbage out of the ocean so we can help the ocean be more clean. We're going to be selling our cakes in February when everyone presents their projects.
Cake decorating is really fun.
Let's think about, our purpose. You guys came up with this idea that you want to create these STEM kits to help support kids in the community, and we'll bring them to the library. And when we were here in June, you kind of talked about this idea of maybe using some planes for some aviation. But what I would like us to do right now is, in your group, you guys are going to practice actually using these tools. And you're going to put them together, and our first challenge is to see who can throw their airplane the furthest, okay? So think about who is the person that's going to be in charge of throwing the plane. My smallest group, you get to choose. Do you want to be blue or red? Who is going to be the person that's going to be our pilot? Okay?
Courage.
And who is our pilot from our blue team?
Watch me ultimately fail.
Me.
All right. Wyatt, our blue team, you guys are going to go first. Thank you. That was test number 1.
Yesterday, we showed them a video of an innovator, Robert Wood, who is creating robots that are mini-size of bees. And so he got inspiration from nature. And so when we saw this monarch butterfly go by, I thought this is a great way for them to see inspiration about their power of flight that they do.
You tried, and then let me try. David tried.
Yesterday, our group decided that they want to focus in on the problem of equity in Troy. So they talked about how STEM is something that people can access, but you have to pay for it. So they wanted to kind of focus in on how can we provide STEM activities for all the kids, regardless of where they're from, and have access to it in places like public libraries. We reached out to the Troy Public Library. The librarian there actually had a Zoom session with our kids where they asked so many great questions, and we're able to understand what the needs of the community are and what the restraints are. And today we're focusing on just how to take those needs and create kits for the community that can provide students with free access to STEM activities.
They were suggesting about having like websites and stuff to like have instructions for it, and our goal was to have people who didn't have stuff like computers or even houses or cars and struggling to get food. We were trying to get to them, so I suggested instead of having a digital thing, why don't we just like have paper instructions? Because I mean, if they're struggling to get food and they don't have houses or cars or pretty much anything, and the chances of them having a functional computer are very slim to none. So I suggested for more accessibility that we should just use standard like paper instructions just to make it easier for people.
Hey, our red team, let's see how we do.
This challenge has been done by thousands of people, spanning kindergarten through CEOs and CFOs of the Fortune 50, okay? So big time corporate bigwigs, okay? And as it turns out, on average, kindergartners tend to build taller freestanding structures than adults who run major companies. And the fact that this has happened over and over and repeatedly, it sort of got people thinking about, well, what characteristics do kindergartners or younger people have intact that seem to be lost maybe as you push through adulthood? They give you an advantage in a challenge like this. And then after that, we'll have a little share with a neighbor and share out as a group. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of why it is that kindergartners tend to do better than CEOs.
Let's start with the positives. What went well in your team? What did your teams do well? Swati, what did you guys do well?
We made sure that everyone was doing something at least, because like me and Philip were like trying to like build structures, but since we had to like attach everything, and one of us was just doing the job of distributing tape, so we had everyone do something, but I feel like we could have had everyone do more.
for the most part, we were just talking and like we agreed on a plan pretty quick and put into action. And like we did prototype, like so we've had the marshmallow on top all throughout. I think our downfall was like we didn't know how to make our structure better, so we just kept adding more tape to it.
To begin with, it's kind of rapid prototyping because that's, first of all, we only have like 2 weeks to finish the entire project, and some people have really big projects. So I guess you could say the time constraint kind of matches that. And then the prototyping is kind of like what we're doing with the actual tower building, because when you build a tower, it's kind of like you're just making your model, and it's kind of like that. So it's like your end project.
I'd keep ideating, I'd keep like thinking of more things to add.
Keep tweaking until it is the best.
I guess the iterative process.
Yeah, it's an iterative process.
So what we're doing is that we're using these robots called spheros, about the size of a tennis ball. It's like a ball, and it goes around. And we have a course set up out here in the hall, and we have all the drivers here ready today to race. And we have some ramps, we have some obstacles, we have the alley of chairs against the wall, and we're gonna race to see who can get the best time. And by the end of this race, we're gonna have a champion.
The entire point of this thing is we have a robotics kit which we're designing right now, and this is to help us create ideas for our design kit. So like doing obstacle courses like this, maybe we can incorporate that into our kit in the future.
Dog and cat treats for our business, Passionate Paws. So our business is where we bake like dog and cat treats, and we may move on to other animals, but probably just stick there. We sell them online and like in person, and then all the proceeds go towards like animal shelters in need, or like buying toys for animals, or helping rescue animals and like that have been abandoned.
Well, this is a coconut flower cat treat. It's really healthy for like cats, and maybe like people can eat it, I don't really know. But it's really good for cats. It can help them mature and develop faster. It's like really more healthier than what regular cats eat. So there's tuna, coconut flour, eggs, and 2 tablespoons of water.
I'm making cheddar dog treats, so they just have like 4 simple ingredients like whole milk, butter, cheddar cheese, and then whole wheat flour. And just because dogs, they seem to do anything for food, and cheese, my dog, I know she loves it especially. So I just thought, why not make a dog like a cheese treat?
Go for it!
Like just like playing with this drone like right now, like just encourages me to use my own drone like more, because like I haven't been using lately.
Well, we can also teach kids about this because, well, a plane, to them a plane is just a plane, but in a plane there's also the engineering and the pilots and people, and there's a lot of things in planes that kids may not know about, and it's good to take this experience and add it so people and kids can learn about it. The biggest lesson I've learned is teamwork, because most of the time during COVID we're usually used to doing it by ourselves, and this experience during camp has helped me learn a lot more about teamwork and making friends, and it's okay to look out for each other and help each other.
For those who don't know anything about Eastern Market, which is where you're at, Eastern Market is Detroit's open air market where everyone is welcome. If you come here on Saturdays, generally you'll see all of these space and sheds filled with farmers and local vendors from all over the state selling their stuff, okay? This place has been here for over 130 years.
We talked to many vendors at the Eastern Market, and they had a lot to tell us. Many were entrepreneurs, and they started their stalls through their own volition because they had a corporate job, but they weren't passionate about that. They were passionate about their hobbies, and they made that into a business. That really inspired me because as students, we may not always feel like we have the power to make a huge change or launch our own product, but seeing it done in real life makes it feel tangible and possible.
So So Murals in the Market, what it is a 1 week long festival where we invite artists from all over the world to come over here and paint or do their art live.
The biggest takeaway for me was the murals of the market. It was wonderful to see how many different artists were able to take social justice causes or personal reasons and turn it into a beautiful mural. And one of the most interesting things about that was how a lot of them were open to interpretation, and they didn't necessarily have a title or a particular subject, and based on your individual experiences, you could see that as how you wanted to, and it just made it more personal.
I think looking at the murals, we could incorporate it into our project in many ways. Most of these artists started from nothing and now have made such a big name for themselves. Their art is everywhere, making huge impacts on people every day, and hopefully we could do the same with our projects and helping a lot of people in need.
For everyone who's new here, my name is Dee. I'm the owner of this space. It's called Dee's Detroit.
Do you usually get like those kind of ideas? Like, what's your thinking process in terms of that? Because like I think we're building apps, we're building websites, and we want to get it out into the world. But like, I don't think we always have the idea of like thinking out of the box. So like, could you like go through your process of like thinking about like things to do in terms of marketing?
I discovered the piece of land first. I really wasn't intending to do lemonade, but I thought this is such a cool opportunity. There's thousands of people walking by every year, and this just seems like a no-brainer. I'll buy the land and I'll figure out what to do. So I kind of let the land dictate it for me. That's kind of where I came up with the idea of lemonade. Everyone loves lemonade. People are thirsty as they're jogging by. There's nowhere else to stop. And that's what led me to the Bees Squeeze lemonade stand.
The owner of Bees Lemonade started a lemonade stand as just a promotion, but now her lemonade is sold in 25 different states, and that's a big motivation for me.
The biggest thing about our lemonade that's different from other lemonades is that it's completely natural and there's no artificial ingredients, flavors, anything like that in there. And so we've had a really good way to get our foot in the door is telling them our unique story on the Dick Winter Cut. We are a true small business that started with a lemonade stand and we grew it. Combined with our clean ingredients and just new flavors, we have pink rose and lavender. That's been a good way to kind of set ourselves apart.
A takeaway that I can transfer to my passion project from that is not to be afraid to try and promote my project or promote my objective. Going out and trying to get people to try it out and trying to interact with other people with it. Kind of how the owner of Bees Lemonade went out and made a lemonade stand. You can't be afraid to take risks when you're trying to promote your product.
The airport was fun, and we walked around a little bit, looked at we actually saw one of the planes coming away from refueling, and then later on we saw it take off. Then one of the volunteers was helping us learn more about airplanes at the airport, bring out one of his own planes actually, and we got to look around and we had a whole walk around. We learned a lot about what some of the control surfaces are called. For example, we learned that some of the things that control the roll of the plane were called the ailerons. We learned how the engine works and how it can, with something called magnetos, produce its own electricity for it to keep running essentially forever as long as it has fuel.
Air goes faster over the top than the lower of the wing, creating a low pressure, and then you got high pressure pushing up, and the pressure difference is one of the theories of lift. The other one is that helps. But the other one is you're just deflecting air down too.
And then this is the cylinder, 4-cylinder post cylinder. What happened? Why don't we do the V cylinder? Why don't we do a straight line cylinder? Why we do a post cylinder? Because compact.
And I think one of the most fun parts about it was that we sat in the cockpit, like the place where you drive the plane, and actually got to feel the controls and look at all the dials and switches and learn what they actually did, each one of them. And I think the biggest takeaway was that if you really put your mind to anything, you can do anything, because we actually had a pilot talk to us, and he said that he had kind of a hard time, and that he learned that if he just kept going, he could learn anything. It helped us really look into what the real life equivalent was, and how we can connect the real life equivalent to our kit equivalents. For example, with the foam glider connecting to these actual propeller planes, and how people who use these STEM kits can relate them to the real world, as I said before, and how they can really like take that step forward. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is to persevere, because sometimes things don't always work on the first try, and to really communicate with like some of my team members. We communicate together on what we want to do, or like sometimes we like work on our own and then we come back together.
When he's hurting inside and out, unemployed, under 18, he's just a scared little boy, and he's falling past the limit, wondering how he let it get like this. Soon he's living off less than 2. World comes crashing through, the walls closing in. When you try your best and they'll never understand. When your life's made out of bits of broken glass. It's amazing on how life can work like that.
Keep the water clean. Reach carbon neutral by 2025, or else none of us will be alive. And feeding love, young we can survive. Gotta do our part, make society clean. Come and have our part, make the planet green. What can we do more than recycling? Our part keeps society clean. Come on, have a heart, make the planet green. What can we do? Tell us some RE, please. Well, reduce, reuse, recycle. Pause.
Compose your veggie scraps.
Pause.
Lower your meat consumption or make an assumption you might have a chance to repeat this about to reduce, reuse, repurpose, recycle. But it's not on you. The companies too gotta do their part and make a start. Change for the future, the sooner the better. Talk to your mayor or write them a letter. We'll fight for you till the battle is won. Change starts with you, and it only takes one.
When you work with kids your age who go to the same school as you, have the same passions as you, and they have like wonderful skill sets, it's just so inspiring and so motivating as well.
Especially like where I'm building an app personally for my passion project, I don't think I would ever have the courage to even undertake that.
And the ideas that some of these kids give, like for me, my project is food insecurity, right? So when I entered my project, I had like one path that I was looking at, and everyone was just giving me these ideas, and now I have like a million paths, and everyone's also so open to helping you out, right?
Yeah, like I think for school, the main thing is competition. So that was like on our first day, like that was the first thing we talked about. It's like, is competition good? Is it bad? Should we add more? Should we add less? So in like taking the aspects of competition, it always doesn't go through for fostering ideas. But here, everyone's here of their like own accord and like they want to do stuff. Especially because they really want to do it. In school, it always might not be that way. But like we're all here. We're giving up 2 weeks of our summer because we want to do something.
Yeah, and because we have a certain skill set. So students serving as experts is something that I've seen a lot in the coding group, because I'm really good at 3D designing, but that's not the only thing in the coding group. We have experts that I've taken skills from that are good at web design, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and a bunch of other subjects related to coding. And you can benefit a lot from working with them and having a competition or a healthy competition with them to see who can be more creative.
I think also personally at the start I said that I don't think I would ever have a courage to build an app. This is like an idea that's been floating around in the back of my mind, but I would never have undertaken it had it not been for like the people I've met and like seeing
it's like a support system.
Yeah,
right. For some reason, I keep thinking of a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of our groups, right? I feel like we're a family here.
A better example would be a well-oiled bike, because the shifter is the key.
These are mountain bikes.
So everyone brings something different to the table, and everyone's always willing to help you out. I said this before, I'll say it again, right? Like we're all passionate about similar things, and ultimately we all have the same goal to make the world a better place.
I think yes, and then like putting in the group structure, it really like brought a bunch of students together. I didn't know most of the students went to these schools. Like at school sometimes might be like you're just with your friend group, or but we don't really get to interact with the other schools in this area. But there's so many great students.
We've all given 2 weeks of our summer, right? And we're not here for ourselves, we're here for our community.
Yes.
Right.
So just think of people who sacrifice that, right? Just the environment that creates. Everyone is, and the passion. Do you guys want to talk about how passionate people are about this thing?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.